Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and pause it intermittently here and there to talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, I'm Officer Paul Alanis with the Gilbert Police Department Public Affairs Office. The information, audio, video, and pictures you're about to see are intended to provide details, as we currently understand them, of an officer-involved shooting.
So, right off the bat, his uniform, I like it. It's very simple. There's not a bunch of bullshit going on here. I see too often sometimes uniforms that have like all this shit on it, and it's unnecessary. He's got everything he needs. He's got 2 arm patches, a badge, and a name tag. And an ink pen. The tie, he could lose the tie. I've never understood the tie with a uniform. I always thought it was kind of goofy. Especially like a real tie. Because that damn thing could be used as a leash against you. But even it being a clip-on tie, like I don't know. I've never liked it. I always thought it was a stupid uniform ensemble. I don't know why the tradition of a tie is there, but it's there for a lot of places. A lot of places will do it. Sometimes you'll see them, they'll take the tie and they'll tuck it into the uniform shirt. That way it's not hanging down the front. And at that point, it's like, if you're tucking your tie in your uniform and you're not even having it out, why the fuck do you go through the hassle of putting that stupid thing on? It's just a stupid bullshit process, stupid bullshit culture that just needs to go away. Like the Houston police videos I did, where you saw the officer that had like the big old salad bar right here with all these ribbons and everything. That's stupid. Same thing with like NYPD, where they got their badge and then like all that other bullshit under it. That's stupid. Simple uniform. Like this is a good uniform. So not a bunch of bullshit going on with it. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but it did.
That occurred in Gilbert on Saturday, April 9th, 2022. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images, which could be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. On the evening of Friday, April 8th, 2022, the Gilbert Police Department Dispatch Center received a series of calls from a female victim who reported that her ex-boyfriend, who she had an active order of protection against, was on his way from Phoenix to her apartment complex located near South Santan Village Parkway and East Parkview Drive.
Oh, that's great. So they don't specify exactly which apartment complex she is in. So no idea which one she could be in right here. They just kind of show an overall aerial view of the area. And there's like 4 main different buildings right here. So she could be in any one of them. And then there's buildings right here. And I'm assuming these are buildings. I'm not really sure what these are. Yeah, I don't know what these are. But these are definitely buildings. So no idea which one it is.
Located near South Santan Village Parkway and East Parkview Drive. The victim identified the subject as 25-year-old Jonatan Mosqueda.
Yes, this person's almost here, and I'm just like really scared for my life.
Okay, I understand. How do you know they're almost there?
Because their brother told me, and their brother has tracking on them.
Oh, okay. Do you know like how long away they are? Like how many miles or how long?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Officers responded and made contact with the victim. While speaking to her, the subject knocked on the door. At approximately 8:32 p.m., the officer heard a knock outside and upon opening the door, found a basket filled with Easter eggs left on the doormat that previously was not there.
That sounds like some creepy horror movie kind of shit. So the officers were inside this apartment talking to this woman, and this dude knocked on the door and then left this basket of Easter eggs there.
Basket filled with Easter eggs left on the doormat that previously was not there. The officer stepped out, and as he opened the door, previously was not there. The officer stepped out.
So you can see the police car right there, running lights on. So this dude, I'm assuming, since he's in this stairwell right here, I'm assuming he had to have seen this police car sitting outside. And knowing that he has a protective order not to be around here, he still decided to come up here and put his eggs in all in one basket in front of her door.
And as he opened the door leading to the stairwell, Mosqueda was seen standing by the doorway carrying a black backpack on the front of his chest. The officer gave Mosqueda directions to show his hands, but Mosqueda turned and dropped his backpack before running down the stairwell with a firearm in his hand.
Come out here now! Come out here now!
Alright, so you can see that firearm in his hand. At this point, as far as I'm concerned, this officer could have used deadly physical force against this guy. And I think he probably should have.
Put the gun down! Come out here now! Hey! Put the gun down!
716, we got the suspect running down. He has a gun with him down the emergency exit.
Has he got a flashlight attached to his gun? Looks like it.
Gilbert police officers established a perimeter around the apartment complex in an attempt to locate Mosqueda. At approximately 10:53 p.m., with the assistance of the Arizona Department of Public Safety's helicopter, Mosqueda was located on the roof of the apartment building, hiding.
That fucking look. That look of disappointment, like, shit, they found me.
Near several air conditioning units. For the next 3 hours, between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., Gilbert police SWAT officers
Alright, look at that can on that rifle right there.
and negotiators communicated with Mosqueda to try to get him to peacefully surrender. The firearm is located close by atop an AC unit.
I don't know we'll ever put together, you guys. You guys are solid. You guys are doing your job. Trust me.
So, what did he say? Like 2 hours? 3 hours. So 3 hours, they're up here. And that's a long time to be up here. And at night, with a weapon-mounted light, that's a long time for your weapon-mounted light to be turned on. So, for one, having a rifle and having it aimed at someone for such a long period of time, that is fatiguing. Like, you will get fatigued real quick. So, I'd imagine that during this process, they were having to switch officers out to maintain this lethal cover. Because I don't care how tactical you are. Like, you're not holding a rifle at the low ready or even high ready for 3 fucking hours. That is a long ass time. So these officers had to have been switching out on the rifle, not this particular rifle, but with their rifles, switching out to maintain lethal cover on this guy. And then dudes were, getting a break for their arms, resting up. And then I would suspect that at some point, with having 3 hours of continuous light being shined on this guy, someone probably had to have changed their batteries at some point. I mean, these weapon-mounted lights put out a great amount of light, but they don't do it for a very, very long time. After a little while, they start to dim, and you need to replace the batteries in them to get the light to be as bright as you want it. And so that type of long-term engagement right there with that light is a little unusual. It doesn't happen a whole lot, but obviously for SWAT, that is something that could happen with a standoff situation. So carrying extra batteries is a good idea. And not just for the rifle and its light, but also for your night vision as well. Just having a ballast on the back of the helmet to help offset the weight of the nods. You can carry batteries in the back right there. That's a good place to carry extra weight. and then you can pop those things out and put them in equipment as you need them. And in this case, obviously, you know, they're going to need batteries. Now, there are also pistol grips that are hollow that you can stuff things inside of them. You know, it's conceivable that you could put a couple of CR123s in there for a backup to either put in the light, or if you've got a PEC or another IR laser that takes the CR123s, you can pop those in there and get that device working again. For normal patrol stuff, I don't carry extra batteries on me, and I don't really know anyone else that does, because this is such a peculiar kind of scenario. It's just not something that you'll run into on a regular basis of having your gun turned on for so long. Now, keeping them in the car, that's one thing. So I do keep a thing of CR123s in my car. It's in the little seat organizer that I've got. I've got one of those old school Surefire battery keepers. It's like a cylinder shaped kind of thing, holds like 6 CR123s in it, and then put the cap on it and seal it up. I keep that in there. That way, if I notice my light on my gun starting to dim just a little bit, or you know, I've had to use it for a long period of time, I will, before it starts getting super, super dim, obviously, once I recognize either A, it's gone dim a little bit, or B, I've recognized the fact that I've used it a lot within the last couple of days, I'll go ahead and take those batteries out, pitch them, and put new ones in, even if it's not getting dim at all. If I've known I've used it a lot, I'm switching those batteries out just to be on the safe side. Now, as far as like your patrol light goes, you know, your regular flashlight, I've had that die on me during the middle of a shift before, which is also one reason why I keep a backup light on me in the event that my primary light goes down. Obviously, you know, the patrol light, you can just throw it on the charger inside the car and it charges back up. But as far as, you know, weapon mounted lights dying on me in the middle of something, I haven't had that happen. I'm sure other people have had it happen to them, but when that stuff kind of happens, that is because they've been using their light intermittently here and there over a course of time, and they've neglected to switch the batteries out. They haven't recognized the fact that every time they click that light on, it's like pulling the trigger on a gun. Every time you pull that trigger, your rounds start depleting, and eventually you're going to run into an empty magazine. Same concept with the batteries. Every time you switch it, you're depleting energy out of those batteries, and eventually you're going to get down low enough it's not going to be good enough to keep that light running for very long. So, like I said, if I, over the course of a few days, or even, you know, one night or something, you know, doing building clearing or something like that, if that light's been on for a good minute, then I just take a very, very proactive approach, switch the batteries out, throw them away, put fresh ones in. Yeah, CR123s are expensive, but so are funerals. So I look at the cost between the CR123s and a funeral, and I go with the cost of the CR123s, and I just pitch the batteries out, not knowing exactly how much percentage is left in them. Practically, they could probably have 70% capacity in them. I have no idea. But if I've used that light enough and I think that I've used it enough, I just ditch them and put new ones in. But anyway, so 3 hours standing on this roof, that's got to be some tiring shit right there for these guys. And that's probably something that not a lot of people think about, as far as having to maintain this kind of posture, and then B, your weapon mounted lights and everything. You may, in this kind of scenario, as an operator, have to have your light on for a long period of time. So you probably need to have on your kit extra batteries to deal with those kind of issues.
Officers and negotiators communicated with Mosqueda to try to get him to peacefully surrender. The firearm is located close by atop an AC unit.
I don't want to ever quit today, you guys. You guys are solid. You guys just did your job. Trust me.
But Jonathan, making that decision to hurt yourself is a long-term solution to a temporary problem. I want to get you help, brother. We can get off this roof. We can sit. I'll sit with you and talk with you about options and resources, man.
At about 2:04 a.m., as officers are actively negotiating with Mosqueda, and without being told to do so or notifying officers, he jumped on top of an AC unit with his cell phone in his right hand. Officers properly identified the object in Mosqueda's hand to be a cell phone and continued to order him to keep his hands up. Mosqueda failed to follow the commands given to him by the officers, and as seen in the video, he crouched down and armed himself with the firearm. As Mosqueda stood up in a position above the officers, with the firearm now in his hand, he presented an immediate and deadly threat to the officers. Responding to this immediate and deadly threat, 2 officers deployed non-lethal rounds and 2 different officers fired lethal rounds at Mosqueda. Mosqueda laid motionless as officers approached to render life-saving first aid. Officers observed Mosqueda still had the firearm in his hand. A SWAT medic on scene pronounced Mosqueda deceased at 2:11 a.m. Contents found on Mosqueda included a tan 9mm Glock semi.
So he did have a weapon-mounted light on there, but this looks like the style that has a laser on there. So I am betting that he only got this because of the laser. So some of these dudes are just, they're infatuated with these damn lasers, and you know, they call them the beam. You know, I got that beam on that Glock, bro. It's something they see in rap videos. So if you go look at rap videos and they're waving guns around, oftentimes you'll see the handguns, they've got laser beams on them, and usually it's just a laser attachment they'll put on there. They typically don't have the weapon-mounted light, white light on there. It's just a little block-looking shaped thing that has a laser in it, and that's what they'll put on there. And like I said, they only do that shit because they see, you know, their idols doing it, the rap stars doing it, so they want to do it too. And they don't know that a laser on a pistol is kind of fucking useless, especially if you don't zero it in. So I've dealt with one little shithead from Louisville before, and he was like 15, 16 years old, I think. Stupid. I mean, this dude was fucking dumb as a rock. And he was talking about, it's funny that this is the color, but he was talking about his peanut butter Glock. I was like, a peanut butter Glock? What the hell is that? And he said the tan colored one. And he goes, you know, the tan colored one looks like peanut butter. And he was chubby too, so it was even funnier that he was fucking giving a nickname to a gun that was a name for food. But he had said that he put a laser beam on it. And, you know, I got really curious. I'm like, okay, you put this laser beam on the gun, like, where would you go to zero that in? So I asked him, I was like, where'd you go to zero that in at? And this dude had no idea what the hell I was talking about. And, you know, I said it a couple more times, and, you know, I couldn't imagine that he by himself went into a gun range with his peanut butter Glock and zeroed this thing in. That was going to raise a bunch of eyebrows. So I thought, well, if he did go to a gun range, you know, maybe a parent with him, maybe an adult went with him, or he just did it in a back alley somewhere, or somewhere up in Louisville and zeroed this thing in. I was thinking, you know, it had to be one of the two. Well, he had no idea what the hell I was talking about, was zeroing the thing in. So, like, you didn't go anywhere and, like, shoot practice rounds at a target and move the laser to get it sighted in? No, he didn't. Like I said, he had no clue what I was talking about. So the concept of windage and elevation on these things was completely lost on him. So you have to zero those things in for the gun, and if not, it's not going to be on target. It's going to be off. So like your laser beam could be pointed directly at the little dot right there, and you pull the trigger, and the round could land fucking all the way over here. So there's little knobs. Usually, sometimes they're recessed. So like right here, this could be a recessed point right here to stick a tool in and twist it, and that's going to control the laser moving left or right and and another one will control it going up and down. So you can aim the laser at the target, pull the trigger, see where the round lands, and then adjust those controls to move the laser accordingly. Fire another round, see how close the two are, get them to converge, and then once you start having rounds landing on the laser or right around that laser, you're zeroed in. Otherwise, if you don't do that, the shit's going to be way off. So there's no telling how many street thugs out there get these lasers and they put them on their guns and they never fucking zero them. And here they are thinking they're going to point a laser dot at someone, pull the trigger, and the bullet's going to go there. But when it comes to stuff like this, lasers on pistols I don't think are a very good option. The best thing to have on a pistol is a white light. A lot of engagements occur in low light to no light conditions, and so it makes the most sense to have a weapon-mounted light on there to better illuminate the target. A laser beam at night, you're not going to be able to illuminate that target. You're not going to be able to positively identify whether or not that target is armed, if they got a gun in their hand, if it's a wallet in their hand or a cell phone in their hand, etc. During the daytime, sometimes you have to do the fishing effect with the laser. You got to like point it and move the damn thing around, trying to figure out where it's at. Just kind of like with a laptop, and you put your hand on the pad and you move it back and forth, and you're looking around the screen like, all right, where's the mouse at? That's the same effect you can get with a laser on a gun during the day. When you start getting into the mesotopic lighting conditions or whatever, that can be when it's easier to see the laser. But still, even then, like I said, it's still kind of a fishing kind of thing. And you're going to find that going through your iron sights is faster than trying to use the laser. In the law enforcement and tactical realm, using a laser is good when you're using a shield, because you got that shield up with one hand and you got your arms stuck around to the front of the shield, and unless you can get that gun up to the viewfinder through that shield, you're not going to be able to get your sights lined up. So having a laser on the gun at that point does make sense. And then for nighttime shooting, which if you're doing nighttime shooting, obviously it's not going to be a visible laser. It's going to be an invisible laser. It's an IR laser, infrared. You can't see it with your naked eye. You can only see it under nods, night vision. So that application right there, shooting at night, but that requires a specialty laser, and those things are not cheap. So a good infrared laser for a pistol is probably almost cost about as much as a gun does. They're not cheap at all. Not cheap at all. They're pretty damn expensive. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but this could be a Streamlight product. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not very positive, but it could be a Streamlight product. But this little red band right there is kind of throwing me off, so I'm not really sure if it's a Streamlight product or not. But this is definitely a Glock, and it's a newer generation Glock. It's got the little pistol lanyard tab thing down here at the bottom, so it's a newer gun, and I don't know what the background on it is. I don't know if it's stolen, if he legally bought it himself, whatever. If he had a protective order, then when law enforcement served this protective order on him, generally, it talks about not being in possession of firearms and stuff like that. And if he had this on him, it should have been confiscated, or, arrangements made for, family members, friends to come pick it up, so he won't have it. Typically, it's going to be confiscated. So if he had this thing in his possession and police came to him and gave him that protective order and he lied about the gun, you know, that's one thing. But after that protection order, you know, ideally, you know, with that protection order being in place, it going in through the court system, is on court records. If he had gone to a gun store and tried to purchase this thing, then he should have been denied at the gun store when the background check came back. The background check should have pinged on that protective order, and it should have disqualified him from being able to purchase that gun from a store. In instances like this, I wish they'd give some more details about where they acquired the gun at and stuff like that, because I think that's important information to know.
Automatic pistol he was holding in his right hand, along with a pocket knife and 2 sets of handcuffs he was holding in his right hand, along with a pocket knife.
So obviously I don't know what the make and model on this knife is, but it's got a little window punch right here at the end and a seatbelt cutter. Call it a tactical knife if you want. You can see down here an assisted opener, so you can pop it open pretty quick. Pretty nice. I mean, I don't know that, like I said, I don't know the make and model. Could be a junky knife, but it's, you know, it's a pretty decent knife.
Knife and 2 sets of handcuffs.
These 2 sets of handcuffs are kind of awkward. So, you know, who carries that stuff around with them on a regular basis? And what's also interesting is they appear to be preset. So typically, you know, when you put handcuffs in your cuff pouch, you preset the hinges on them so that they look similar to this. That way, when you go up to cuff someone and you press this part against the wrist, there's less teeth inside here that have to go against that little ratchet and make it swing all the way around. So if the single bar right here, if it was all the way out, one, it'd be hard to put in the cuff pouch. But if it was ratcheted all the way up to here at the beginning, and you try to slap this on someone's wrist, you may not get it to completely unlatch all the way and have this thing swing freely all the way around and re-ratchet itself. With this setup, all you gotta do is press this against the wrist with a little bit of force, and this will swing this away and swing around on itself and reclose on itself. It's called speed cuffing. So it's kind of interesting that he has these set up like this, and it could just be by accident that he had them set up like this, but both of them here, they seem to be preset. And it could have just happened with it being in his pocket like that, moving around. You know, they just pressed inwards a little bit. So who knows?
Were in his possession. The contents inside the backpack Mosqueda carried, seen earlier in this video, included 2 high-capacity handgun magazines, additional ammunition.
So 2 magazines right there, some more knives, a couple of forks. That's weird. Don't know what that is. Don't know. That looks like maybe a charging cord, possibly a belt, maybe cologne, not sure. We got some tape, keys, some deodorant. Yeah, that's good stuff to have. Some kind of bandage? I don't know. What's that say? Top Gun?
Duct tape, goggles, a belt, and a ring, among other items seen in this image. This incident is the subject of both an internal and criminal investigation, which will be reviewed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Conclusions about whether the actions of the officers are consistent with department policy and the law will not be made until all facts are known and the investigation is complete. Thank you for taking the time to watch this critical incident briefing.
Okay, so the contents of the bag are very interesting. So he has this protective order against this woman. He goes out, he knocks on the door, puts the Easter basket out front, and then he's got this backpack full of stuff, and he's in that stairwell area. That's kind of weird. So it seems like to me he was possibly setting up an ambush. Those are EMT shears. Those are the what are they called? The Raptors, I think. Yeah. So this guy's got some interesting stuff. Like, he has a good pistol. He's got these good EMT shears right here. And he's got this thing that looks like it says Top Gun. I have to look more into this guy. This is kind of unique. But anyway, yeah, it looks like he puts the Easter egg down as a distraction or like a decoy to lure the woman out. And then this looks like a kit to bind a person, tie him up kind of stuff. So what was this dude's intentions? What was he going to be doing with this backpack or the contents in it?
Handgun magazines, additional ammunition, duct tape, goggles, a belt, and a ring, among other items seen in this.
Yeah, that's a little weird. And the handcuffs, like, yeah. So that makes me think he was planning on assaulting this girl and binding her up, and then who knows what he's going to do after that. Not a big fan of how they didn't show the shooting. I hate when they cut that stuff out. I mean, you can go to YouTube and find all sorts of other videos where they show this stuff. Like, why are you going to go through the process of not showing it? Like, it's not that bad to see. But sometimes you get some places who do that stupid crap. So they talked about here that he is now an immediate and deadly threat. He hasn't picked it up, or he has picked it up, but he hasn't pointed it at him or anything. But he's now an immediate threat. The same could be said in this instance right here. He is now an immediate threat. He has the gun in that hand. He could be getting down here to get a better position for himself, turn around, and engage the officer. Like I said earlier, I think this officer had the legal justification to use deadly physical force against this guy. And not only do I think that he had the justification to do it, I think that he should have used the deadly physical force against this guy. I personally think this dude came here to abduct the girl. If not abduct her, then to restrain her and murder her. That seems the only logical thing to me about what this guy would be doing. Yeah. All right, so nothing else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.